Hey guys, so you can see here that I have a few things pulled up for reference for us. So feel free to look at these if you want, or if you just kind of want to step back and wait till I pull these in, that's obviously fine too. But here we go. I don't remember exactly in what class it was, but I know it was earlier on in my time in the program. I remember watching a video on documenting and writing to write that Dave had given us. I remember him showing that in his beginning stages of an idea, he will sometimes just write or sketch to get ideas out or flowing. In this video, if I remember right, he was drawing buildings, and I think it was to illustrate the different tiers of studio and how he wanted that to look. I couldn't help but think as I watched, I could never see myself sitting down to draw. That looks like a waste of time. Sorry, Dave, but I feel like honesty is the best option in this talk. When I got to IT 500, I feel like I started to understand what Dave was talking about. As I read Little Bets by Sims, I could see some of the things that he was mentioning in his video. We write shitty rough drafts so that we can see issues in our ideas and so that we can begin to gather feedback from others. And in these rough drafts, allow us to get ideas on paper so that we can build on them or move forward with a different idea if needed. But I still wasn't sold just yet. I understood what I was hearing, but I hadn't bought into finding the value in it yet. It wouldn't be until another course that I finally had this light bulb moment. When I made it to IT 430, computer based publishing and instruction, I began to see the value in writing things down. In this course, we were tasked with 5 different mini projects. Each project was supposed to be created using a different medium and a different form of a resource. So, for example, we had a job aid and an infographic and a few other things sort of that nature. As we went through each mini process, I would write some things down, but really just enough to meet the requirement of illustrating my process. When I got to the infographic, I felt like I had such a clear idea or picture in my head that I had to sketch it then and there when I read the directions. Using this sketch or shitty rough draft, I was able to create my infographic so much easier than any other project before. It was as if I had created a sloppy and disorganized blueprint, but a blueprint nonetheless to help me. So you can see here on the left side of the screen, this was the original rough draft that I pretty much created minutes after reading the directions for this. And then here is on the right side is the final draft of it. So even through 2 or 3 prototypes of this, I was still able to stick pretty closely to what my original envisioning was. And I mean, using that rough draft really helped me come up with a solid first prototype to present and give feedback on. I had found so much enjoyment with this and felt so much less stressed when I had took the time to create this rough draft and get my beginning ideas down on paper. I couldn't believe I hadn't bought into this sooner. I ended up loving IT 430 because I was able to find so much enjoyment in the mini design processes. This initial planning and drafting made the actual designing and creating almost stress free. I knew I had to take this practice with me in the remainder of my time in the program and even beyond. Now here I am in Studio 2, and I feel like now if I don't create some sort of draft or blueprint for myself before moving into the production stages, I'm lost. As I began this semester's project, I remember even feeling anxiety about production before I had created my concept map and flowchart. I considered both of these pieces to be my blueprints as I created my lesson in its first prototype. As I worked, though, I found things that wouldn't work or didn't make sense. Looking back at these moments, it was helpful that I had these rough drafts to help me make this realization. I still think back to Sims now and his ideas of if an idea is good, run with it, and if not, don't be afraid to let it go, change things, and move on. These rough drafts and blueprints make it easy for me to quickly see what will work and what won't. It helps me to not get too attached to an idea. After practicing this concept of drafting multiple times now in my processes, it has begun to feel almost unnatural when I don't take the time to get something down on paper. Now, here I am as a teacher. Each week, we are given multiple opportunities, and really even each day, to create pieces of work, whether it be lessons or worksheets for our students. And with how busy each day and week can feel, I have to remember to not lose sight of this practice that I have learned in the IT program. In creating worksheets or lessons, I need to take the time to sketch or write out ideas on paper before I begin producing. Within my meetings, thinking about a student with an IEP, we never just pull things out randomly. We always first get ideas down on paper and then pick the best things that would make our students most successful. Or finally, even with my coaching, when I create a lineup for our team, it can be so stressful to try and put the best team together on the first try. I have to pause and take the time to create a draft of the lineup first. In all of these settings, like I have found here in the program, I am better able to see my issues sooner, let go of ideas faster, and even have a more enjoyable and overall easier time working on the actual creation or production if I just first sit down and take the time to do a rough draft first.